Today we are doing day 2 of section 2.4. We are still solving multi-step inequalities. Today we will look at problems that have variables on both sides. In the general, still the same rules are going to apply. We solve it like an equation, but we have to remember certain rules. Like when we multiply or divide both sides by a negative, what has to happen? Yep, you gotta switch the symbol, flip the sign. All right, for our warm-ups, how am I going to solve number 1? Subtract 5 on both sides. We have 2a is greater than 6, and then we divide by 2. We get a is greater than 3. On our number line, at 3, are we open or closed? Open, and we shade to the right side because it is greater than. Questions about number 1?
No.
On number 2, how would I start solving?
Add 6.
Good. Add 6 on both sides. Negative 3a is less than 24. Then we
Divide by -3, so we have to switch the symbol.
Very good, Jaysha. We divide by -3, so we get a alone. The symbol in the middle has to flip around. 24 divided by -3 is -8. So we have a very small number line. At -8, are we open or closed? Open, and we shade to the right. We go by whatever the symbol was when we were done with the problem. So when we're done with the problem, it's greater than, we shade right. To solve an inequality with variables on both sides of the inequality, remember to move the variable to the left. I would get this note written down. We don't want to just move it anywhere. We want to go ahead and make sure it's on the left as soon as possible. If you want to shorten it up, that's fine. Put it in your own words. But we need to make sure all the variables get moved over to the left side. Then let's start looking at some examples. 6x minus 5 is less than 2x plus 11. If our initial goal is to make sure all the variables are on the left, what needs to move? What needs to move? The 2x needs to move, so Jaysha, how would we get it to move? Subtract it. But if we do it to one side, we better do it to the other. And when I do it to the other side, what should I line it up underneath?
The 6x.
Good. We should line it up underneath its like term. So we subtract 2x from both sides. 6x minus 2x is 4x. What's still next to that? The minus 5. Less than the positive 11. Yep, now it's going to look like the problems we did yesterday. So we would add the 5. 4x is less than 16. Last step. Divide off the 4. X is less than 4. Questions about the solving? Okay, get your variables on the left. Solve it like we did yesterday. So we go to graph it. Are we open or closed at 4? Open at 4, shaded to the left. Good. It's a less than, so we shade left. Questions, concerns, or need more time on number 1? All right, we got number 2 solved. Got our variable on the left. Solved our inequality, graphed it. So we are ready for number 3. Number 3 is going to be a little bit different. Number 3 is a little bit different. What do you think we need to do? Distribute would need to be our very, very, very first step. So we distribute the 2. 2k minus 10 less than 2k plus 5. Good. We do want all of our variables to be on the left. That means we need to get rid of this 2k. So like Jasha said, we'll subtract it. I heard a little hesitance. Because yes, what happens to both of them? They cancel each other out on both sides. But we're still left with something. What are we left with?
0.
The negative 10 is still there. Less than, what's on the other side? 5. Yes, I wrote a 2. That should have been a 5 here, correct? Okay, our variable totally canceled out. Questions up until this point before we talk about what it means. Okay? So then we're left with this expression. Who can read that out loud? Good. Negative 10 is less than 5. Do we agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah, negative 10 is less than 5. I would agree with that. If we get a statement that we agree with, what do you think that means for our answer? What do you think, Dominic?
No solution.
That's if we don't agree with what's left.
All real numbers.
All real numbers. So our solution is all real numbers, and if we are asked to graph that, that means that we've got a number line. Just a generic number line. And if all real numbers work, where do you think we should shade? The whole thing. If all real numbers work, we would shade in the whole entire thing. We don't have to worry about open or close. We don't have to worry about putting a circle anywhere. We're shading the whole line in. Number 4. Again, our first step here is to distribute. We are going to distribute a negative 4. So be careful with your signs. A negative 4 times 3n gives me negative 12n. Negative 4 times negative 1.
4.
Positive 4, so I'll put a plus 4. Okay, the other side has not changed. I want all my variables to be on which side? The left. Good. Jermila said we'd add the 12n. I agree. Yes, the variables will all cancel out again. What are we left with when that happens? Okay, we're left with the 4 is greater than 5.2. Do we agree with what's left? No. We should not agree with 4 is greater than 5.2. If you want to X it out, you can. That's fine. But, as Jasha already said, our answer would be no solution. So it's not enough for you to just cross it off if you don't like it, if you don't agree with it. You've got to tell me there's no solution. And if on your quiz, homework, test, whatever, they gave you a number line to go with this problem,
Would you not shade it in at all?
you would not shade anything in at all. So if you're given a number line and you get no solution, you don't put anything on the number line at all. No circles, no shading, no nothing. Okay, no solution means there's nothing on that number line. All right, we already said our first step is to distribute. Janiyah, what do I get when I distribute that 3?
5A minus. Huh?
Careful. 3 times 2?
Oh my god. Okay. It's 6A.
Good.
And minus 3.
Very good.
And is greater than 10 out.
We'll let somebody else help us from there. Andrew, what needs to move? Good. How are we going to make it move, Andrew? Good. Subtract it on both sides. We want our variable to be on the left, so we are going to force that to happen. 6a minus 10a gives me what? Negative 4a. The minus 3 greater than, and the negative 11, I'll stay. Hold on.
Sorry.
Jada, what do I do next? Good. Add 3 on both sides. Liam, what would happen after I add the 3? Divide by negative 4. Yes, we must make sure we remember to flip our inequality symbol because we divided by a negative. So it flips over to be a less than. Negative 8 divided by negative 4 is 2. All right, Matthew, am I open or closed at 2? Open. And Dominic, which way am I going to shade? To the left. Very good. What was our first step to solve this one? Distribute. When I distribute, I've got 8b minus 3 is greater than.
8B minus 2 plus 12.
Why is it plus 12?
Because you multiply.
Okay, we got to make sure we distribute to everything inside. All right. As many people have already commented about, what's going to happen to our b's? Good. Our b's totally go away. What are we left with? Negative 3 is greater than 12. Do we agree with this or not?
No. No. No.
Is negative 3 bigger than 12?
No.
No, there is no solution.
I said that at first and people didn't. Wait, but my teacher used to tell me that whatever is the biggest number is by the 0. Who was your teacher? Madeline. They just used to tell me that.
Okay, so
I get that. I know it's no solution, but like I'm saying.
so that's only true if you're only talking about negatives.
Oh.
The biggest negative number will be closest to 0. But not both of these are negative. If that 12 had been negative, then sure, that'll change things. Other questions? Okay, let's keep it moving. This is going to be another special situation. Make sure that you are being careful with your distributing. When we distribute that 2, what do we get?
10W minus 2.
Less than 7 plus 10W. James said subtract 10W. I agree. Okay, negative 2 is less than 7. Do we agree with that? We should agree with it, which means we have all real numbers. And then on our number line, we are going to shade what? The whole thing. We don't even have to put a dot on there anywhere. We can just shade in the whole number line. Any number on that line is going to work.
Do we have homework?
You do have homework. But first we have a few more examples. Are we ready for the next one?
Yes, we are.
Okay. If I want all my variables on the left, what needs to move first?
5.
The negative 4n moves. How do we move it?
Plus 1.
By adding it, we got to do it to both sides, line it up under its like term. So out in the front, we still have a 5. It's not going anywhere. Negative 2n plus 4n. Positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive 2n is greater than 8. Keep solving. What do you do next? Thank you. Subtract the 5. 2n is greater than 3. And then we... Okay, you can leave it as n is greater than 3/2, or you can put n is greater than 1.5. I'm okay with either of those because we did not have to round. When we graph it, are we open or closed at 1.5? Open. 1.5 is where on this line? Between 1 and 2. Open circle, shaded to the right because we had a greater than symbol. Anybody need more time on number 8? Okay, we'll take another moment or two. Yes, quizzes are graded. They are in the grade book, except for people who had to take it in ISD. I just got them this morning, so I'll get them graded this afternoon. All right, we got a few more problems to get through. This one does not involve any distributing. To make our variables be on the left, what would I do? Subtract 6h. They cancel out totally. What am I left with? Okay, make sure you don't drop the negative sign from the 18 because that would change your answer. Negative 18 is less than 1, so I agree with Jasha. All real numbers. If we had a number line, we'd shade in the whole thing.
Okay. Let me just skip our last example.
No. All right, we got one more we're doing. If I want my variables to be on the left, what is moving first?
Add 4p.
We gotta move the 4p by adding it. We better do that to both sides. How many p's do we have? 7p plus 4 is greater than 25. Keep solving. Subtract the 4. 7p is greater than. Last step. P is greater than 3. On our number line, would we be open or closed at 3? Open at 3, shaded to the right. Open, shaded right for greater than. Same pages as last night's homework, but different problems.